to move towards the technology, and I think technology is happening so fast, so fast, and thanks to AI, or at the detriment of AI, things are happening. And how we can implement technology, what stuff we plan on using in the law enforcement world, especially when Sheriff Orly comes into office. What are his thoughts on some of the things?
That was a mouthful.
Yeah. So
AI.
So AI technology. Let me get to the specific questions because I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, so technology, AI, and policing. What are your thoughts? Plans to integrate new tech into policing for Miami-Dade. And let me know what we got going on. I don't know if that's pretty much the same thing I said, but whatever.
I think it is.
Yeah.
So pretty much is this, man. AI, we are far as an agency from getting anywhere near that.
Mm-hmm.
The agency needs to modernize.
Yeah.
We are stuck in the past. I can say not just as when I become Orly for sheriff or when I'm that sheriff, the things that I've already done for my agency. I have modernized our interview rooms. We were stuck in the past. Not to bring up old wounds that the county has dealt with, but everybody remembers when that mother or that evil killed her son in the canal. He was autistic.
Yeah, I remember that.
When that occurred, I was already in homicide. The interview of that subject, in the background, you could hear laughing. And it wasn't anything against the case. It was just typical police officers. Something is happening, and they're having their side conversations, and things were being talked about.
Were they in the next room?
They were outside of the interview room.
That's what I'm saying. So
so they're outside. Interviews occurring.
Yeah.
People are outside.
Yeah.
Things are getting recorded that shouldn't have been recorded.
Yeah.
And it sounds very unprofessional and
absolutely
no bueno.
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit of a black eye on the department, and technologies were failing. So one of the initiatives that I took was I need to upgrade, and I fought this through. We needed to upgrade our interview rooms.
Yeah.
So it was a simple project that I was like, you know what? It's needed. Let's get the best technology that we have. Researched it, started that program, started that project. Next thing you know, I'm asked and I'm tasked, hey, you need to upgrade the rest of our criminal investigations division, which included our Special Victims Bureau, our robbery, organized crime, all the different bureaus that we currently have.
Yeah.
To modernize those interview rooms, because I'm not sure how it is in some other places, but one place has one technology, this other place has other technology, and that doesn't work. We need to be uniform across the board. So, long story short, modernized it, got it squared away, went forward. Last year in February, I was tasked with, they're like, hey, when are you going to spend the rest of the money we got you? And I was like, what do you mean? We got you an additional $2 million. So I had a capital project to upgrade the rest of the agency to have the same interview rooms and everything else. Awesome technology implemented, modernized it, great tools. So if I was able to do that as a sergeant, imagine what I could do for the agency and the community as your sheriff. Something as simple as that, because I was able to cut through the BS and say this is what was needed.
Yeah.
And it was occurring, to go further back in time, right when Surfside occurred. I was there when Surfside was occurring, and it's an experience that you can't take away.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Do you know when I stopped working Surfside? Because most people say that Surfside ended once they cleaned it up and everything was done.
Yeah.
I stopped working Surfside February 6th of 2023.
How much time has passed since the actual incident?
That happened June of 2021.
So in February 23 is when you stopped working on it. So
Yes.
a couple years after that.
Yeah.
So man.
I had already created my task force. I had already been dealing with all these different things, but I was in the background dealing with that, with the private investigation that was being done, coordinating a lot of the different efforts within the debris removal from one location to another, because that's an ongoing investigation that has not stopped.
Yeah.
So since it occurred till February of 23, I was working on that.
Yeah.
And that was a major task.
Yeah.
Because I know there was a challenge out there to say, oh, where were you working during this time? When I put my next video out, it'll address some of these things. But I know that I worked Surfside from the moment it started till years later.
So you're about to put out some tea.
Oh, buddy.
So where can they find you? Because you've been talking about the website. What about social media? Instagrams is
my Instagram is Orly for Sheriff, and on Facebook, same thing, Orly for Sheriff. Any direct questions you want to ask, you could go ahead and check out my social medias there. You could slide into my DMs or send me a quick little message for those of you that don't understand what I just said.
Yeah. See, I like how you're remember the old and the young.
See, we're there, man.
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need a modern sheriff.
Okay, and then so back to the modernizing stuff.
Yeah. So modernizing. When the incident occurred, I'm sure you're familiar with the documentation for federal aid when it comes with FEMA, and all those forms. Just a simple approach on that. I was like, most agencies handwrite their things. I digitized it.
Yeah.
A simple digitalization of the documents was a fast approach because just because you're working and it's a tragic event, you still got to get paid.
Yeah.
I was able to facilitate that across an entire bureau. Hundreds of people were able to get properly paid and got their hours documented correctly. Additionally, everybody started thinking, what happened with September 11? And I got the backlash to document because people were initially, when they responded, there's a lot of things that were burning, chemicals, gases, all this stuff in the air. And now you have officers, first responders, anybody responding to this incident and being exposed to these chemicals and airborne whatevers that are out there. I wanted to make sure, listen, everything has to deal with documentation. I wrote exposures and I had my team get exposures done for everybody. I was told not to do it. And I said, no, because they were trying to implement something else and whatnot. And I was like, no, this is what we currently have in place. This is what we need to do. And I'm going to do that because I'm looking out for our people. If you don't like it, too bad.
So explain real quick, what is an exposure? Because I know what you're talking about. Maybe the person behind.
So when you get exposed, it could either be chemical, blood, urine, saliva from another individual. Mm-hmm. So if you have an open wound or whatnot and that exposure occurs to you, it's a work-related injury that you sustained on duty. Nothing may happen right there and then, but later on, something might develop. And we saw that in September 11, where a lot of these first responders years later developed lung cancer and developed all these other things. And not sure of the outcomes, but I want to say the agency did not want to cover them. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. And you remember the past as you live in the present to change the outcome of your future. So I was there. I had an opportunity to do something, and I did it. And you know what happened? Some people jumped on my bandwagon from the upper command. They're like, oh, make sure I get one written too. I was like, no problem. So got those things documented and went forward from there. It's still the AI question. Mm-hmm. Before we get to those little robots, little R2-D2s, we can't get there until we modernize a lot of basic things within our agency. The agency is behind.